Hello, welcome to another underwhelming Tweedy Outdoors video. I've come to the area around Ivanhoe Beacon yet again. It's just a very convenient bit of countryside for me to get to. Doesn't take too much time out of my day for the travel. Doing the first bit of the walk here through Oldbury Knowers from Tring Station. Just paused briefly at this barrow here. I quickly looked up, this is a scheduled ancient monument. Historic England has a listing for it. It's apparently probably late Bronze Age bowl barrow. I'm just out for another daytime stroll, so for any new viewers who subscribed as a result of my previous video, which was a wild camp, the unsubscribe button is just down there. I'm going to be doing a bit of cooking, hopefully under a tarp. It is raining, possibly even in the same location as I made Boston baked beans that time. I'm going to do a sort of Spanish version of that dish. Chorizo and white bean Spanish stew or something. Out onto the more open air and open access land bit now, and there's a section of Grimm's Ditch. I'll go and take a look at my former cooking spot, that little bowl depression, that sort of circular ditch, whatever it was. See how the mood takes me, and I might press on. We'll see when we get there. Never seem to be able to find out much information about Grimm's Ditch. It's very enigmatic. Is the consensus that it's more likely Iron Age and possibly some sort of boundary marker? I mean, maybe not completely unlike Wansdyke, although of course that almost certainly came much later. And I think just up the hill from the ditch down there we have another little cluster of barrows. Having said that I think they're barrows, there's almost like a miniature hill fort sort of sense here. We've got this big depression in the middle and then the lumps around the outside. I'm trying to remember now, was that where I sat before? It would have looked so different back in the summer with all the tall grass. I don't remember it being quite as wide and open as this. Another attractive candidate just a little further up the hill there. Another one of these sort of bowl depressions in between what look to me like barrows, perhaps they're not. And they all seem to be issued with a hawthorn tree in the middle. Do you want to see some terrible tarp setup? That was fun last time. I'll probably put on some jaunty music. Well, it's not great, but you get the idea. Do actually sort of have a view from here, more or less. It's a very grey, cloudy day, so it's not going to be spectacular, but beyond the dip in front, which for some reason didn't take my fancy today, there is the hills opposite. Oh, it's starting to rain. I'll get under the tarp. So today I'm going to be making a probably very inauthentic mishmash of several recipes of Spanish bean and chorizo stew. I think this is somewhere in between fabadas Asturias and camarones, and anyone watching from Spain, and I know we have at least some people who have Spain as their adopted home, will probably tell me that this is nothing like any of those original dishes, but it's my own take on it, and it's essentially beans and chorizo in a stew, and it's not dissimilar to the Boston baked beans I made last time I was here in a way. Partly I chose this recipe because I had leftover chorizo, but at the last minute I realised I'd forgotten the cannellini beans, and I don't know if either of those recipes, camarones or fabadas Asturias, actually use exactly cannellini beans, but it's something a bit like that in each one of those recipes. So I had to go to the Lidl in Tottenham Court Road. It was the nearest place I could find to Euston. I got down to Euston Station, realised I didn't have the cannellini beans, and that was the nearest place I could find that sold them. I think I had an accusation in a previous video that I was a bit, was it pompous? Hard to tell given the spelling. So, you know, here I am keeping it real, shopping at Lidl. I'll chop up an onion, shall I? It's always a good start. Let's get right in there with some onion chopping action. This table's getting a bit pathetic now. You're getting the idea, onion chopping. I'm using this Fire Dragon fuel again because I just haven't got round to going to anywhere I can buy a gas canister for my gas stove. Trusty lighter. There we go, that's going. That pan can go on there. Good glug of olive oil, because that feels Spanish. And those onions can go in. Probably some bits of skin as well, but who cares? The next item on the agenda, these chorizo sausages. Let's not inspect too closely their exact composition. You can imagine this with whatever version of chorizo you feel comfortable with. This knife seems really inadequate for this because they're a little bit squishy. They can go in. All right, deal with that in the pan. Because I think as a matter of urgency, I now need to probably give that a move around, otherwise it's all going to burn, isn't it? Got a clove of garlic. One of my top chef's tips, always buy large cloves of garlic. Who has the time to be messing around with those tiny piddly ones? It's much more work. Alright, it's going to be very roughly chopped because my chopping board's all uneven and a horrible mess. Those very rustic chunks of garlic. Chunks of garlic can also go in there. It's looking jolly, isn't it? Pleased to say for once that's not just immediately burning on the bottom as most things tend to when I try and fry them. That's all getting a nice fry in there. Good. I don't know when the appropriate stage for the paprika is, but I'm going to just put that in now. Will help to season what's in the pan. It's usually good to give spices a bit of a fry, isn't it? To help release the flavours, something like that. Mmm, lovely smell coming off that. I do like the smell of paprika. It dripped in a bit here. Oh well. It's only water, I'm sure it'll be fine. I have a very cute, diminutive can of chopped tomatoes. I only ever buy these when I'm going camping. I think that can probably go in now. Stop it all burning. And I will also swill that out with a bit of water. I think it's probably time to include the cannellini beans. I probably said the same thing last time I was sitting round about here. I would normally drain, should I just drain a little bit of that water off, because it can be really starchy and that makes the whole thing burn more easily. This would be a great opportunity to expand my horizons a bit as I'm having Spanish food and try a wine that isn't Gevrey Chambertin. So I've brought along some Gevrey Chambertin. I suppose I'll do the tasting notes over on Burgundy with Tweedy as usual. Got to find some content for that floundering channel. I think it would be fair to say conditions have deteriorated a bit, and I've wasted some time doing some Burgundy with Tweedy commentary, which I probably won't be able to use because I realised I didn't have the microphone on. So. Oh well, let's give this a taste test in this possibly slightly lukewarm conditions. I think it would benefit from cooking a bit longer. The flavours would meld a bit better, but lovely warm paprika sort of flavour to that. That's really pretty good. Just needs cooking a bit longer, ideally. Maybe a little bit less water in general. A little bit less water falling from the sky. Might see if I can put on some more waterproofs. I don't think I've got the right size tarp for the conditions really, or it should have just been much lower so it was sort of covering my head better. Ideally this would be served with crusty bread. I did bring the end of a French stick, but not quite sure I can be bothered with it now. Still, it's nice to be out, as outdoorsy YouTubers are wont to say. The wind has dislodged one of the lines for my tarp. Pulled the peg right out, blown it all over there. It's definitely pretty inclement now. Sorry, terrible camera work. I finished my lunch. I just left the pan out there to get washed by the rain for a bit. put on some, put on all my waterproofs. I think I might actually pack up because I don't think I've got the, I think I've got the tarp set up quite right, and just not big enough and a bit too extreme and not really working for me. Well, decided it was probably sensible to make a tactical withdrawal from that spot. Nice though it was okay earlier, and there's a bit of a pause in the rain now, and that's given me time to get the tarp down and get all my stuff packed up. But yeah, really surprisingly challenging conditions just for what is it, 8 degrees, 5 degrees. My hands are really cold, I think because of this wind chill and the wet weather and all of that. And I might go and find somewhere a bit more sheltered. It is a bit of an open hilltop here. Probably can't hear what I'm saying, can you? This is the spot where last time I came here, I came and stared at Ivanhoe Beacon from a distance. You probably can't hear me with the wind. Funny weather. It is sort of brightening a bit over there. Lovely lone tree there. There is a nice rim of something approximating sunshine, but still really cold and windy, and I think I might just head back to train station, to be honest. Prospect of spending much more time outdoors isn't appealing today because my hands are cold. Warmed up slightly having got off the hilltop back into the woods. It didn't all go very well really, did it? Just about managed to get the cooking done, but then the weather really closed in, and that tarp was clearly inadequate for the conditions. Feeling slightly crestfallen, if I'm honest. I was kind of looking forward to having a nice day out, as I knew the weather was going to be a bit challenging. Obviously didn't prepare sufficiently, but yeah, certainly hasn't been quite as pleasant as the last time I camped here and cooked some sort of bean based stew. Perhaps this will fall into that category of type 2 fun. That's almost annoying. The sun's come out, the sky is blue now. If I just timed this entire outing differently, I could have arrived sort of now, probably sat until what might end up being a bit of a pleasant sunset and had a, I don't know, early dinner or something rather than lunch. But that's the way it went, I suppose. Not a particularly successful endeavour. Did manage to cook what I wanted to cook, but eating it was hardly a pleasurable experience. I was just sort of wolfing it down while the rain lashed in from all sides, given that inadequate tarp. And just one glass of Géré Chambertin, and I thought perhaps it's time to pack up and go home. And I'm sort of warming up now that I've got the sun on my back and managed to take those horrible waterproofs off, which is always a bit of a mood boost. Oh well, sometimes it's like this, isn't it? Might end the video there. Sorry, that's a bit of a damp squib. Like I said at the start, the unsubscribe button's down there. There are probably far better channels out there on YouTube. Try Wild Bear, for example. She seems to be popular, doesn't she? Anyway, thanks for watching. May or may not see you on the next one. Bye bye.